Hello, you're watching Mummy Time TV. Now, when kids start school, it can be quite an emotional time. You want them to grow up and start learning, but the schoolyard can be a scary place. Bullying is now something many mums will see their children go through. Homework, friends, even just getting your kids to school each day can also have its challenges. Well, today I have three wonderful mums on the couch with me who are doing the school thing. They've got kids of differing ages. Let's meet them and have a chat. Now, first up, say hello to Lisa Dreyer. Lisa is one half of the very popular online social media mum duo, the Everyday Mums. She's also a mum to 3 boys. Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
And also joining me on the couch today is Leah Goulis. Leah is the KidSpot lifestyle editor, and she's a mum to Christopher and Madeline. Hello, Leah.
Hi, Shizzy.
And our third mum on the couch today is Nat Buckley. Nat is a mum of 3. Nat works full-time as a paralegal working in family law and specialising in work with domestic violence victims. Hello, Nat.
Hey.
Okay, let's get started. Leah, let's start with you.
Yeah.
Starting school can be a big roller coaster emotion, can't it?
Yes. I don't think anything can prepare you for your child starting school. I often joke that, it's when you're when you've got a little newborn, it's hard enough. But I think I would rate going to school for the first time harder than having a newborn. Might not be the case for everybody, but it certainly was for me.
It's very fresh for you because it's only just happened.
Yes, it only just happened. We're in term 2 now, and it's scary. It's a big deal. It's you're letting your little one out there and to be independent for the first time, and they don't need you anymore. They just need their little lunchbox, and then off they go, and you just pray to God that they eat it.
Yeah.
But I had a little tip that got me through it, and because Christopher's quite anxious and he's very needy when it comes to me, he's very clingy. So after orientation, I knew it was going to be a drama starting school for him. So what I did was I had a little charm for him and a little charm for me, and I said, you keep this in your pocket and I'll keep it in my pocket, and whenever you feel sad or you feel like you need to give me a hug, just touch your pocket and I'll feel your hug. And that got us through the first 3 days, and then they introduced assembly.
Oh.
And then, there was tears, there were tantrums, there was the principal helping me to the classroom, but now we're good.
So the tears were your own, not Christopher's?
The tears I waited until I got home. And I'm a tough cookie, but I was crying for 2 weeks every day after the drop-off. Yeah, scared for them, I guess. You know that they're trying to be brave for you, but deep down they're not really brave. And I made a promise to him that, if you're going to be brave, then I'll be brave too. It's not fair if I sit there and break down at assembly. And he doesn't. So, yeah, we got through it. It's possible.
And Lisa, you've done it 3 times with your...
Nearly 3.
Nearly 3?
Yep, so he doesn't start for another 1.5 years, the little one. But my eldest is in year 9, and so we've been doing it for a while now. But
do you remember what it was like?
I do, because he was so excited to go and then got there and turned into a different child, like spat on his teacher and screamed and was dragged in. And anyone who knows him would think, who is this child? But he was so prepared academically, but not socially, for what was going to happen. And it took a full week of abuse of the teacher, but they were really good. And then he loved it every day since then.
How on earth did you cope with that?
I just
if
left.
He's totally out of character and spitting on his teacher.
I just left and let them deal with it, because there was too much involved if I was trying to, he would feel upset, and it was like, they're like, just go and we'll, fill you in. And every afternoon he was fine, but it was like, oh, I've got to come back here. And because I'm a stay-at-home mum, we haven't done any childcare, so he'd never really left me before. But then it was fine, and now he would rather be at school than at home or anywhere else. He loves it.
And so do you have any major concerns, for your kids being at school?
Well, my son has a bowel condition, so we had to make sure the school were very aware of his situation, and they were so accommodating. They changed his classrooms around. He was in the room with the toilet, and they were fantastic. So my only concern was with that issue, and once the school eased that, not really. I love them being at school, and they've loved school. And I didn't cry so much that I was so excited for him. because I love school as well as a child, and he loves it, and they both love it. So that makes things a lot easier.
And Nat, you've got 3 kids at 3 different schools.
Yes.
Do you think that different schools come with different worries?
I think the biggest difference for me has been the jump from primary school to high school, because you suddenly lose a lot of the control, and you've got to really trust them to start doing their own thing. Like, you don't get the homework note saying this is what you've got to do every day when you get to high school.
Yeah.
You've kind of got to start teaching them some responsibility. You know, you have to let me know when you've got exams coming up and all that sort of stuff. So to a certain extent, you really have to kind of let them go a bit. I kind of found that okay. Probably my first one was a bit of a captain sensible, so I wasn't too panicked. But yeah, you do have to let them grow up. So yeah, that was my biggest thing. Primary school, mine were more than happy to go off to primary school. I thought the hardest thing for me was my first child was quite close to the cut-off date.
Right.
Very bright, but a bit shy. So I held him back, which in hindsight, I'm kind of happy about now.
Because it's a hard decision to pick,
Well, it
you know,
is,
if it's
and-
right. I had to do it with Sailor.
But I had some really good advice. Like, my sister's a school teacher, and she said to me, it's not just when they start school, but it's also the maturity level when they're doing the HSC. Because 12 months, I think, especially in boys, can make a huge difference.
Homework. Have you
Have you
started
got
on
any
the homework?
wine, Shezzy? Have you got any wine?
Like, it is.
We have homework in kindergarten.
It's incredible, isn't it? Like, Lisa and Nat, you know, you obviously have a lot more homework, but I was blown away. I don't remember doing that homework in kindergarten and Sailors in year 1.
No, it's very different.
Every school handles it differently as well. So I've got Zara's in primary school, Max and Jed are both in high school. And Jed's at an academically selective high school, Max is at our local high school. And even every school handles it differently. And it's just trying to keep on top of it all and work out where they're at.
But even teachers handle it differently. Like in the same school, we've had teachers who say no to homework and say we will not be doing it except for reading.
Yeah.
And in, you know, his little friend, their teacher will have a huge amount. So it depends on what the teachers think their best approach is as well.
I just find sometimes, I know Sailor's so tired at the end of the day, and then you have to try and get them to do a reader, and it's, you know, it's painful and it's stressful, and like,
they're
I'm
too
in my
tired.
second year of homework.
Yeah.
The other end of the scale is me with Jed in year 11 at an academically selective high school. I can't help him with his maths.
Yeah.
Makes
No
no
way.
sense to me
I
whatsoever.
can't help my kindergarten child with maths.
Yeah.
I seriously look at it and like, it's just not what I used to do.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't as advanced as him at the end anyway, but I just don't get it.
It's hard when you have to give them help. Look, changing topics a little bit now, I wanted to kind of touch on bullying, and I guess, Leah, if I can throw it open to you.
Yeah.
You've worked as a journalist for a long time,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing that you've probably come across, you know, stories of bullying.
Yeah, it's scary, the amount of stories that we come across. And, you know, just recently with, you know, the 14-year-old Dolly, you know,
Yeah.
the Kubra model.
That's
it's
what
it's
frightens.
terrifying, 14 years old. It's just, it's too young. And, you know, kids are exposed to different things now. You know, bullying has always been there for,
Yeah.
for school
Yeah,
kids.
it
and
just
we
wasn't in
were
their
all,
home.
yeah, exactly. And now you've got, you know, the internet, which doesn't help. Yeah, I'm terrified, especially when you've got a little sensitive one.
Yes.
You think that they're going to be the easy target. You want to protect them, but at the same time you need to encourage them to go out there and try and cope with the situation themselves. So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Have you had any bullying kind of
Yeah,
experiences?
When they're little, my middle one, Lachlan, he's the most sensitive one. And he did, because he gets taken advantage of because he's nice to other people. But he doesn't understand how someone could, like, he would spell the words to me. He wouldn't even repeat them because he didn't want to say them himself. And it's a really hard thing to do because you have to make sure that your child's okay, but also shed some light that not every family is the same. Because if a 6-year-old is saying the C word or something, that's learned behaviour. That's a situation they're in. So it's not like a 15-year-old who really is not a nice person.
And who knows better.
There's other kids obviously going through something at home or whatever. So you have to tread quite lightly and just make sure what you say is right.
And try and put
families
it
are
into
different.
perspective.
It is, and you know, it's probably not directed at you, and he might not even know what that means, or because they're obviously going through something at home when they're that young. But we dealt with the teachers and the principal, and had, you know, kids moved around and things like that, and been much better since then. So yeah,
That's hard.
It's hard.
That's hard to deal with, and moving
Yeah.
kids around is not always the ideal, and
It's
people
not.
can't do it sometimes.
It's not, but sometimes, and this is the problem, is that they move the easy kids because there's no issue. And, you know, the ones who are not sort of stay. They can't put them out. It turns into a thing. So the nice ones will get moved around. But in regards to the teenager, I still have all emails and passwords for every social media that my son has, and I don't look at it.
He's in year 9,
He's in year 9.
which is
So he'll be 15 this year.
15.
And that's while you're using my internet, while we're paying for your phone, while you have all these things, I want access. I will never use it unless you give me a reason to have to check it. But I still think he's still young enough that I need to have that, especially in our home. And
It's like protection. I
Yeah.
can see you nodding away.
agree,
I-
yeah.
have you
As they
done-
get older, the way that kids are bullied changes. So one of mine had his Instagram hacked, which I'm not that savvy on all this sort of stuff, but they basically said that he was going to come out as gay at school, which I didn't think was that much of an issue, but obviously he was hacked. But he got really upset and didn't want to go to school. And I said, well, mate, you know, you just have to understand, one, it's pretty obvious you've been hacked because nobody's going to actually say that they're going to come out that way. Well, I wouldn't think so. And two, there's nothing wrong with it even if they did want to. And you just have to learn to deal with these things. Unfortunately, it happens.
So you sent him off to school?
Yeah,
to
we
face
changed.
it?
Well, we changed all his passwords to start, and
Yeah.
then just said, look, you've got my number. If you need me, ring me. But you know, I'm sure it won't be as bad as what you think. I stressed out all day, going, oh God, what's happening? And of course, he walks in the door, and I said, "How was your day?" "Oh, fine." Everyone just laughed. Said I was hacked. I was like, he
All that
was
worrying for
perfectly
nothing.
happy.
All that
I know,
worrying.
But it does. You just, you know, and again, you lose that bit of control. You can't protect them all the time, and they've got to learn coping skills as well, I suppose.
My kids have walked in once and said, "Mummy, why are you dancing?"
Were you standing?
No.
Do your kids know what dancing is?
Why'd I tell the story? No, they don't. But like Miller will just randomly be like, you know, in front of people, "Mummy's got a pecky." That's like code word for penis.
Oh, well, my son, 10, came down during breakfast and school prep and said, you know, "I just want to know the last time you and Dad had sex." And Bailey, the teenager, took the spoon out of his mouth, put it in his breakfast and left the room. Without a word, he was like, no. And I said, like, "This is why you go to bed when we tell you to go to bed." Like, it's not just for fun. There's reasons. Like, it's
There
your
is a
own...
reason.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
You don't want that.
Teenager doesn't need to know when that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter also knows, like, she asked me the other day, "Mummy, where do babies come from?" And I'm like, "Well, you just grew in my tummy." And she's like, "Yeah, how?" I'm like, "Oh, this is not okay." You were 3. So anyway, I didn't tell her, but yeah, she knows like a pecky and a gynae, boobs, obviously, but yeah, sex, I'm not really looking forward to that conversation.
I think it's really good because ultimately, ultimately you want your kids to know what a healthy sex life is and what normal is, and because that's what you want for them eventually. Like, you don't want them having.
No, I mean, I agree with that, but I don't
think
really.
It's really open.
Yeah, I'm just picturing my own parents, and I'm like,
You don't do that. No one should ever do that.
Do I really need to know if you're healthy?
No, but you do. Not. I think.
Yeah, and sex with kids, awesome.
No. Oh, Abby.
Sorry, I meant.
No way.
And
Yeah.
I meant like talking about sex with kids. Do not. Sorry, I meant talking about sex with kids.
No.
What do
That's
I
still
mean?
wrong.
What am I trying to say?
Just don't say sex with kids at all.
Okay, do you know what? Talking about sexual intercourse with children is for when they're older. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, it's interesting. Are you worried that your littlest one, Zara, is a female and is a girl? It might be different for girls to handling bullying? Because girls can be bitchy, let's face it.
Oh,
Can be.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow.
I think it's really important. Well, I like to talk to her about things like posting photos and just being conscious of the fact that they're not too revealing or out there, because people use things and people will reuse things. So you might think it's an innocent bikini shot or whatever, but some people aren't always nice and they use it for something that it shouldn't be used for. So yeah, that sort of stuff worries me a bit, but I think it's all just about talking to them, and you let them know you're always there. They can come to you with anything, and I think that's all you can really. And obviously, I'm with you, monitor. Like, I don't mean check everything they do, but also,
Don't let them go off
Well-
unmonitored for weeks on end, playing with Facebook and.
But it's what they're following as well, or who
Yeah.
they're following. So my son's account is private, and he's only to accept people that he physically knows,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
family that we know. And because sometimes they can have thousands of friends. Now, even when we were growing up, if we had thousands of friends, we didn't go and tell them all individually what we were wearing today, or what we were doing, or how we were feeling. It's telling a lot of information to a lot of people when they don't need to, and everyone sort of has an opinion on every single part of their life. They might really only have 13 really good friends. They're telling thousands of people all this stuff.
And then their success is
strangers.
rated by the
Yeah.
amount of likes they get. If they only get
Absolutely.
2 likes, then
Absolutely.
Who does that?
yeah.
I'm
Not
joking,
me.
I'm joking. Once you get your kids off to school though, do you think it's easier or harder to discipline them? Because discipline's a tricky one. When they're little, you put them on the naughty mat. I mean, that worked for one of mine, it didn't work for the other.
Yeah.
What do you do when they go off to school? How do you
For younger ones, I mean, the naughty corner, well, we're not allowed to use naughty anymore.
Oh, okay.
Apparently.
Unsavory behaviour.
Yeah.
But
I'm in trouble.
time out is a popular one. It doesn't work. Once they go to school, it doesn't work anymore. Well, not for me anyway. So I just get rid of privileges, There's consequences if there's behaviour that I don't like, It could be something simple like you're not going to someone's party. Not that I've ever really
that's what I
followed
was gonna
through.
say, do you follow
no,
through?
and they know
You
that I
have
won't
to
follow
follow
through.
through.
But I
Yeah.
follow
Have
through
to
with the
follow
iPad. Like if I take away the
Yes.
iPad, I'll follow through with that. Little things like that mean so much to them, but the biggest, in the big world, it doesn't really mean that much. I just take that kind of stuff away. But timeout still works for my 3.5-year-old.
I wish it
No.
would work for mine 2.5.
It changes the older they get, though.
Yeah.
So I think now that my 14, nearly 15-year-old and 17-year-old especially are old enough to understand if they're doing something that they know is wrong, they're upsetting me and it's causing me a problem. So I know you joke about my disciplining, but
you're tough, aren't you?
well, I am, I suppose, but I recently had a system with them where Max and Zara were fighting. So they got an amount of shelves out of the pantry that they had to clean out, and wipe it all down and put it all back in. Because I thought, I'm not getting anything out of you taking your Xbox remote off you. What do I get out of that?
Yeah.
You give me all the grief of having to deal with it all.
It is. Give them chores. Give them a job to do if they,
because
a real horrible one.
we have to deal with it, and they have to realise that it upsets us to have to deal with it. So I
Did
just
they
figure,
actually do a good job of cleaning out the cupboard?
well, you have to do it again if you don't.
Really?
She's tough.
I know.
She's tough.
Didn't you make one of your kids write lines?
Oh, I've done that regularly.
Yeah.
I will not hit my sister. Well, I figure if their handwriting
That's an
improves,
old school way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we used to do that when we were
but if it improves their handwriting, that's less work for me, and they hate it. So the recent one is with Zara when she has been in trouble. She's had to write out of times tables because I figure she's studying and being punished at the same time.
That's pretty smart.
Well,
I'm so sick and tired of my kids fighting. They fight all the time.
But they're meant to get along, right?
Well, I think so. I don't know.
If we're doing our job right, like society tells us, they should be getting along.
Yeah.
And then the
I think
headlock
so.
comes.
Yep.
And then the screaming starts, and then you start screaming at them,
Yep.
stop fighting!
Yep.
And then you're the one that looks like the bad mum.
There's a whole lot of angst in my
That's-
house. Yeah, we had an incident with a fork stabbing in the neck. That was a really serious fight. Please don't come and take my children away. It doesn't happen all the time. It was just an example of what happens sometimes over dinner. What about you? So I'm just going to show you what she did with that fork.
Kill me, Shazzy, kill
So I normally always say to Scout, I'm going to eat your food, I'm going to eat your food. And this one particular day, Sailor took over and she said, I'm going to eat your food, just trying to help me. And Scout picked up the fork, flicked it over in her hand and just went in the neck like that. Yeah. And then told me she didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I often get, she's looking at me, don't look at me. She's looking at me.
Mine do this. That's a good one in my house. That's probably because I do it to them. Jokes. Okay. They fight over stupid things, you know. One will have a bigger piece of apple. They don't even like apple. They don't even eat the apple. They didn't even ask for the apple, but yet they will fight about that kind of stuff. Or who gets the more attention from
Yeah.
mum or dad.
Yeah.
We get that when they really don't really want your attention anyway, and then you give it to the other person, and then the other person starts. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I've
That's
got-
why we drink.
What do you do, Lisa?
Well, we have a strange dynamic because we have a teenager and still a toddler. And the one, and I was the eldest, so I kind of understand how Bailey feels. But he has to be a role model. He has to, lead by example. And we are very open in our house. We talk about everything. And I'm not a lecturer, but this is not acceptable in this home. Or, don't disrespect me by, a filthy room. I've washed those clothes, or I've folded, and that's why they now wash and fold the clothes, because they need to know how much work's gone involved to them just chucking it around. But their behaviour and their language all has to be suitable for the 3-year-old, because it's not fair. They got an opportunity to be a child and not have all these other influences, and Oliver deserves the same. So that's sort of how I don't know.
It's hard. 'Cause
We
you've gotta
talk
have-
a lot about why it's inappropriate or why it's the wrong thing, or I don't know. I don't just, that's it, this is gone, but why? This is why. And hopefully it will stop that happening again.
But you can't obviously do that with the youngest child, can you? So
Oh no, I just take everything from him. I just put everything up high. Our house just has stuff everywhere high, so he can't get it.
and does that work?
Yeah. He's pretty good though.
He's not a tantrum thrower?
No.
Are your
Only
kids
when they're
tantrum
tired.
throwers?
Madeline is. Yeah. No, Christopher will just whinge. He'll just whinge until I crack it.
Yeah.
And then I whinge, and then everybody whinges. But Madeline's a big tantrum thrower. She's a boss, and she knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nat, the early morning routine for you to get out the door, give us some tips. You got
Well, we get up, as you know, at 4:30 to take the kids to swimming. So
that's commitment.
I would have said no.
Yeah.
Choose a different sport.
Yeah, you can read in your room.
Choosing their activities early can really bite you on the arse. So you have to, I suppose, think about that. We do it kind of as a family because surf life saving is part of what we do as a family. So, and that's all part of it, swimming, obviously. So they swim in the mornings. I go to work full time. So 3 different schools. So one jumps on a train, one walks, and then Zara toddles off herself, but we're 1 street from the primary school, so it's pretty easy for her. Then we both go to work, and Adam's great, he helps out heaps, so I'm lucky that way. And then in the afternoons, they train most afternoons at the beach, so we kind of...
They're almost too tired ever to be naughty. That's clearly what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
No, but
Get out there and swim. But Mum, the dam's so cold.
I am a planner, so I Sunday afternoons I tend to cook up a storm, so that I've got, if you get kids coming home from the beach, it's cold, they've just done a 2-hour training session, there's a chicken casserole sitting there that I can just shove in the microwave, and they eat a lot when they get to that age.
Yeah, swimmers eat a lot. A lot of my friends have swimmers, and they just talk about how much food they go.
Yeah. Jed consumes about a litre of yogurt a day.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So you literally just have to plan to have the days when you know you're going to be really tight getting home, because they will eat your arm off if you haven't fed them in half an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a bit of planning on Sunday afternoons I like to do, and make double meals. That's a really easy way to just shove one away for later. Yeah.
So be prepared. And what about you, Leah? I know you like a good cook-up. Does that help you in the mornings?
Yeah, not really, because the 3-year-old doesn't eat breakfast, and that's a work in progress.
Yes.
And the other one eats while we're in the car. There's no other way. So I do the drop off to daycare, and then eat your toast on the way to school, and
Whatever works.
hope that you're in a good mood after.
But I want to know, if you have a deadline to get to and your kids are having a tantrum, or someone in my house, it's like, put your socks on. Have you brushed your teeth? I can't find this. Like, it's just bedlam. How do you get to work on time?
You get everything out the night before.
Right.
And just start the car and drive off. And the basics.
Yes, you get in the car, and then you see them put their socks on.
That's it.
and
I'm
their
going. The
shoes
car's
on.
started.
Yep.
We're out of here. And then they drag all the.
They actually want to come with you, believe it or not.
Well, I don't know about you, but date night for me consists of us going in the car together to pick kids up from somewhere. Pretty much. We might eat on the way.
That sounds like a fancy date night compared to what I get.
I don't know how people have time for date night. I would like time for date night, but no, not really.
I picture fancy dinner once a year, I nearly said. Meant once a week. That would be nice.
Anniversary?
Yeah.
If it doesn't clash with something else.
I don't even remember my own anniversary, so maybe it's my fault that I don't get a date night. Got to push it more.
Yeah, get into it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Before we wrap up though, I've got magic cards here.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh.
So get comfy, because we're going to play a little word association game where I'm going to throw you some words, and I just want you to say the first thing that comes to mind.
This is a risky little game, my
Yeah,
friend.
it is, I know. Let's play it. Detention.
I don't have anything for it.
Okay. That's okay.
I haven't had any.
You've
We
had
don't
no
do
detentions.
it. No, there's been none, and I don't know
Gosh,
how the
you're
school
lucky.
operates with that.
Okay, that's fine. No worries.
Sorry.
How about I give you another one?
Okay.
Body image.
Acceptance.
Yeah?
No.
That's good. Okay, Leah. School drop-off.
Hectic.
Nat. Gastro.
No, because I'm iron guts, I think, and the kids are probably pretty much taken after me.
Can't believe this. Lisa. Chocolate.
Dark chocolate after the children are in bed.
Yes.
No sharing.
With wine.
Ovaries.
I was going to say popping.
Oh, okay. Penis.
3 of them in the house.
Fabulous.
I don't need to see them anymore, luckily.
We.
Bedwetting.
Scared.
Frequently.
Fighting.
The youngest two all the time.
Fabulous.
We passed.
You passed. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking about your experiences.
Thanks for having us.
It
Pleasure.
always helps to talk. As a little gift, a little thank you, I've got a little packet of Safe Lace here for each of you. Safe Lace is really important for helping your kids keep their shoelaces tied up so there's no tripping in the playground or if they're out playing sport. So I'm sure that they'll put them
Perfect.
to good use.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for watching today. We'll put all the contact details for each of the mums in case you have any follow-up questions and also some information on today's topics. Plus, you'll also find out more about Safe Lace all on the Mummy Time website. Remember, what works for one mum might not work for you, and that's okay. It's important to keep talking. Thanks for joining us today. Goodbye. I did a
That was
creepy
better, that
wave.
was
I did a creepy wave.
Everybody.
Do not. Can I do another topic to redeem myself?